You're welcome to the lecture Fundamentals of Web Programming. In this third chapter of Basics of Web Design, we will look at web design basics. Today's lecture on web design basics will equip you with learning outcomes such as how to describe the most common types of website organization, how to describe principles of visual design, how to design for your target audience, how to create clear, easy-to-use navigation, how to improve readability of text on your web pages, how to use graphics appropriately on web pages, how to choose a color scheme for your website, how to apply concept universal design to web pages, how to describe web page layout design techniques, how to describe concept responsive web design, and how to apply web design best practices. Web design for your target audience. We will look at 10 key elements to consider when designing for your target audience. Number 1 is to consider and identify your target audience. Great design begins with an understanding of who it is for. Understanding your customer is a crucial factor for being able to choose the right design elements, such as typography, color schemes, layout, and navigation. In addition to knowing your audience's demographics, age, gender, and so on, you need to discover what makes them tick. Who are they? What drives them? What are their beliefs and values? Which other companies are they buying from? What products do they use? The more you know about them, the better you can design a website that meets their needs and requirements. Number 2 is to create unique identity. Now it's time to step into your user's shoes. Create a unique buyer identity for each type of user who uses your website and think of some real-life scenarios. Think about what they'll be looking for when they arrive at your website and how easy it is to find that information. Number 3 is to check out the competition. It's common for businesses to be looking over their shoulders or peeping into the yard next door to see what's happening. By evaluating your competition, you can gain a much clearer picture of where your organization stands. Look carefully at your competitors' website to see what they have in common. Number 4, put aside personal preferences. When designing a website, it's absolutely essential that you, the designer, and your client, the business owner, put aside your personal preferences in favor of what works best for the users. You may wish to try out the latest cutting-edge trend, or your client may have seen a flashy element that they want to include. Remember, what appeals to you may be a total turn-off for the people who will be using the website. Number 5, you need to use typography to speak their language. Custom typography is an excellent way to express brand personality on a website, and there are plenty of fonts available. However, make a well-informed decision. Number 6, choose appropriate colors. Color can influence people's mood and emotions and sway their behavior, so think carefully about the tone you wish to achieve. You should have a good idea of the type of colors that will appeal to your users from your initial research. Number 7, include enticing images. The old adage that a picture is worth 1,000 words remains true. Images are processed quicker than words, so they give users an easy route into your content. Choose images that are relevant and that will inspire people's imaginations and curiosity and draw them into your world. Number 8, think about your content. Content is king, so your design efforts will be in vain if the site content is inappropriate or lacking in quality. The type of content and the style of writing can impact your audiences positively. If the website is for a specific profession, then industry-specific terminology is acceptable and often necessary. Number 9, you have to organize your information structurally. Organizing your information according to visual hierarchy will help you users navigate the site and absorb the information according to your client's preferences. Take a human-centered approach to design. by basing your layout on how your users will expect the site to work. And finally, number 10, surprise and delight them. You have to think of how good it feels when a friend turns up at your house with your favorite food. You are delighted, right? Can you add the same feeling of surprise and delight to your website? Introduce a fun or helpful factor that will surprise and delight your users. This will make them more likely to remember your website and become repeat visitors. And it will help your brand personality shine through. People are more likely to work with companies that make them feel happy and comfortable. So if you can put a smile on their faces, you are more likely to turn them from visitors to customers. Web pages do not look the same in all the major browsers. But first of all, you need to test with current and recent versions of Microsoft Edge, Firefox, Chrome, Opera, Safari, and mobile devices. Progressive enhancements. To ensure that your website works properly in browsers commonly used by target audience, you should add CSS or HTML5 to enhance proper display in modern browsers. Web page design and screen resolution. Your website should be tested with various screen resolutions as well as multiple devices. In most displays and digital images, resolution is expressed in ppi, which refers to the number of pixels that can be displayed over 1 inch of the screen or display. A high ppi means there are more pixels in every inch, which results in a higher resolution and a crisper image. The most common screen resolution in 2022 will most likely be 1920 multiplied by 1080 pixels. This is because it is a resolution that is currently being used by the majority of users, and it is also a resolution that is supported by most devices. Web organization. The basic structure of a web consists of a home page, categories, subcategories, individual posts, and pages. The ideal website structure looks like a pyramid, starting with the home page at the top, then categories, subcategories, individual posts, and pages. Hierarchical structure. To properly use a hierarchical structure, you really need to have a deep understanding of how they work and the ability to process copious amounts of information to find the best way possible to use it to the full extent. Linear structure. Linear structure are a simple website structure, and sometimes that basic website structure is just what the doctor ordered. Not every site will be as straightforward and able to use this type, but sites with fewer pages can benefit from this low maintenance option. Webbed structure. A webbed structure subpages are interlinked and connected in the form of a web. The webbed website structure is mostly used for informative and catalog websites. It is most suitable for businesses related to retail, apparel, and so on. There is a vast range of categories, and this type of structure can easily support the display for the site users. Database website structures. Database website structures are inherently dynamic. They use a bottom-up approach design. Many things should be considered, especially metadata and content taxonomies. Hierarchical organization. A hierarchical organization has a clearly defined homepage, as we can see on the slide. It has navigation links to major sites, sections, and is often used for commercial and corporate websites. Looking at the hierarchical structure on the slide, we can see that home button is right at the top, and next on the hierarchy are about, contact, and product, whereas the last on the hierarchy are the categories buttons. When hierarchical becomes too shallow, make sure organization sizes aren't too flat, as too many immediate decisions will lead to confusion and the site will be less usable. When a hierarchical structure becomes too deep, Make sure the organization is not too deep, as this will result in many clicks before reaching the desired page. Remember, too many clicks can result in a frustrated website visitor. Linear organization. A linear website is one that is organized with a logical beginning, middle, and end, much as a printed book will be. Most websites are not designed to be linear, but it is a useful presentation for long-form content such as manuals and online text. Random organization. This is sometimes referred to as web organization, and usually there is no clear path through the site. The random organization can be used with artistic or concept sites rather than commercial sites. Visual design principles. Let's consider some factors as we examine visual design principles. Number 1 is repetition. You need to repeat visual elements throughout design. With contrast, you need to add visual excitement and draw attention. With proximity, you need to group related items. And finally, with alignment, you need to align elements to create visual unity. An effective website design should fulfill its intended function by conveying its particular message whilst simultaneously engaging the visitor. Several factors such as consistency, colors, typography, imagery, simplicity, and functionality contribute to good website design. Designed to provide accessibility. The power of the web is in its comprehensiveness, such as it is accessible by everyone regardless of disability because accessibility is an essential aspect, quoted by Tim Berners-Lee. Which users benefit from increased accessibility? These are people with physical disability, people using a slow internet connection, or using an old, outdated computer. And finally, these are the people using mobile phones. The accessibility legal requirements are found in Section 508 of WCAG 2.0 and WCAG 2.1 standards. Design for accessibility. More information on design for accessibility can be found on the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines 2.1. Design for accessibility is based on 4 principles. Number 1, perceivable. Content must be easy to read or hear. Number 2, operable. Interface components in the content must be operable by both mouse and keyboard. Number 3, understandable. Content and controls must be easy to read and well organized. Number 4, robust. Content used correct syntax and function on popular operating systems, browsers, and assistive technologies. Writing for the web. To design an appropriate website, avoid long block of text. Make use of bullet points, use headings and subheadings, and keep your paragraphs short. Design easy-to-read text. To design an easy-to-read text, you need to use common fonts such as Arial, Helvetica, Verdana, and Times New Roman. Use appropriate text sizes such as medium, 1 and 100%. Use appropriate length between 50 to 60 characters as recommended. Use strong contrast between text and background. Columns should be used instead of large areas of horizontal text. More text design considerations. To design easy-to-read text, you need to carefully choose text in hyperlinks. Avoid using click here. Hyperlink catchy words or phrases. Do not hyperlink entire sentences. And remember to check your spellings. Using color on web pages as seen on the slide, we can say that computer monitors display color as intensities of red, green, and blue light, which are RGB colors. The values of red, green, and blue vary from 0 to 255. However, hexadecimal numbers based 16 are known to represent these color values. Hexadecimal color values, as seen on the slide, represent a hexadecimal value. The hex value pairs range from 00 to FF. Also, an RGB color can be described using 3 hex value pairs. Web color palettes, as seen on the slides, are a collection of 216 colors. This palette displays the most similar colors on the Mac and PC platforms. Examples of hex values are 00, 33, 66, 99, CC, and FF. Please refer to the color chart at the following link. Color theory. The color theory is the study of color and its use in design. Color wheel is made up of primary colors, secondary colors, and tertiary colors. Color schemes based on the color wheel as seen on the slides. Monochromatic are shades, tints, or tones of the same color. Please visit the link below to learn more about color schemes based on the color wheel. Analogous is the main color and the 2 colors adjacent to it on the color wheel. Complementary are 2 colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel. Let's continue with color schemes based on the color wheel as seen on the slide. Number 1, we have the split complementary. The split complementary is the main color, such as the color opposite it on the color wheel, as well as 2 colors adjacent to the complement. Secondly, we have the triadic. Triadic, on the other hand, are 3 colors that are equidistant on the color wheel. And finally, we have tetradic. Tetradic are 2 complementary color pairs. Implementing a color scheme. To implement a color scheme, you need to make one color dominant and other colors in the color scheme as accent colors, such as heading, subheadings, borders, list markers, and so on. Use neutrals such as white, off-white, gray, black, or brown. Do not restrict yourself to web-safe colors and feel free to use tints, shades, or tones of colors. Verify sufficient contrast. When you choose color for text and background, sufficient contrast is needed so that the text is easy to read. Try out one of the following online tools on the link below to verify contrast. Making color choices. To add a color picker in an HTML page, use an input tag with type color. The initial value can be set using the value property. This value needs to be set in hexadecimal because colors are represented in 6-digit hexadecimal values following a hashtag. Please visit the link below to learn how to choose monochromatic color scheme. The use of color as shown on the slide demonstrates how different websites appeal to kids, everyone, adults, and older adults. As we can see on the screen, the very first web page must be appealing to children, and the second definitely appeals to everyone. There's the sunshine and so on. And the third, as we can see, appeals to young adults. Finally, this definitely appeals to older adults. The use of graphics and multimedia features requires a huge amount of file size and dimension. The use of graphics and multimedia provides for a robust navigation. It provides support with text smoothing considerations as well as alternate text. It also supports appropriate and efficient use of multimedia. Flat web design trend, as seen on the slide, utilizes minimalistic design style. It also features block of color and often requires vertical scrolling. Single-page websites, as seen on the slide, are typically one-page websites. They contain one very long page, such as a single HTML file with clearly defined navigation area, usually at the top of the page. This navigation takes you to specific areas on the page. Later in Chapter 7, we will dig deeper into single-page websites. Having navigation design make your website easy to navigate. It provides clearly labeled navigation in the same location on each page. It is most common to having a cross-top or a down left side. Let's consider the following navigation options. Number 1. Navigation bars. Navigation bars are sections of a graphical user interface intended to aid visitors in accessing information. Number 2. Breadcrumb navigation. Breadcrumb navigation provides links back to each previous page the user navigated through and shows the user's current location in a website. Number 3. Using graphics for navigation. Using graphics for navigation is far more intuitive, especially given that our brains process visual information much faster than textual information. This includes obvious icons. Dynamic navigation. Dynamic navigation is a modified concept of menu components used when the number of actions available to the user is dynamic or variable. Sitemap. Sitemap provides links to the pages in your site and may provide descriptions of those pages. And finally, we have the site search feature. The site search feature enables users to search a given website's content or product catalogs with speed and relevance. Wireframe, as seen on the slide, is a sketch or blueprint of a web page. It also shows the structure of the basic page elements, which includes logo, navigation, contents, and footer. Web page design layout. Web page design layout uses adequate blank spaces. It also employs an intriguing page layout as seen on the slide. More web page design layout as seen on the slide shows that columns of varying widths are interspersed with graphics and headings. It also generates interesting and easy to read web pages. Page layout design techniques. Fixed layout. A fixed layout begins with a specific size set by the web designer. They stay the same width regardless of the size of browser window used to view the page. Page layout design techniques continued as seen on the slide. A fluid layout is a type of web page design in which layout of the page resizes as the window size is changed. This is accomplished by defining areas of the page using percentages instead of fixed pixel width. The majority of website layouts have 1, 2, or 3 columns as seen on the slide. Fluid layouts are extremely effective and drive a large number of visitors, but also helps the viewers understand the message the design is conveying. In other words, understanding layout is key when it comes to creating user-friendly, engaging designs, particularly in the realms of web design and advertising. Mobile design quick checklist, as seen on the slide, has a small screen with bandwidth issues. Comes in single column layout. It maximizes contrast and optimizes images for mobile display. It has descriptive alternate text for images and avoids displaying non-essential content. Progressive enhancement. With progressive enhancement, you need to design your website so it displays well in the mobile devices and usable in older browsers. You also need to add enhancements with CSS or HTML5 to take advantage of the capabilities of modern browsers. Responsive web design. Responsive web design is about using HTML and CSS to automatically resize, hide, shrink, or enlarge a website to make it look good on all devices such as on desktops, tablets, and phones. Please click on the links provided to enhance your responsive web design. Web Design Best Practices Checklist. By visiting the link provided, you discover that in order to achieve best practice in your web design, you need to pay close attention to the following. Number 1 is page layout. Number 2 is browser compatibility. Number 3 is navigation. color and graphics, multimedia, content presentation, functionality, and finally, accessibility. Chapter 3 Summary. In this third chapter, we explain web design basics, taken from our main topic, Basics of Web Design. This chapter introduces you to best practice of web design. The choices you make in the use of color graphics and text should be based on your particular target audience. In summary, chapter 3, we examine the following. Number 1 is design for your target audience. Number 2 is web page design browser compatibility. Number 3 is web page design screen resolution, website organization, hierarchical organization, hierarchical too shallow, hierarchical too deep, linear organization, random organization, visual design principles, design to provide for accessibility, design for accessibility, writing for the web, design easy to read text, more text design considerations, using color on web pages, hexadecimal color values, web color palette, color theory, color schemes based on the color wheel, implementing a color scheme, verifying sufficient contrast, making color choices, use of color, use of graphics and multimedia, flat web design trend, single page website, navigation design, wireframe, web page design layout, web layout design techniques, mobile design quick checklist, progressive enhancements, responsive web design, and finally, web design best practices checklist. We have now come to the end of the third chapter of Basics of Web Design. Thank you all for your attendance.